So single family investing, it doesn't work. Buying houses, buying individual houses one at a time or condos, it doesn't work. The reason why is it's too much work. You can't be passive over time. You put effort in, you try, no matter how much you do, even if you have a property manager, it's very difficult to scale, and there's reasons why it will never get you to financial freedom. So stick around in this video. You're gonna love what's gonna be shared. There's an awesome quote at the end as well. So I'm a real estate professional. This is what I do with my time. This is what I love doing. I love talking about. But I want to talk for a minute about what it means to be a financially free person. Like, what is the goal of becoming financially free? Now, there's this great game called Cash Flow, and it's a board game that you can play, and it's by Robert Kiyosaki. He wrote the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And it basically, you play the game, and what you're doing is you're trying to do enough so that you can have enough passive income so that you don't have to work and you can leave the rat race and have your expenses covered. Now, doesn't that sound really nice in real life that let's just say whatever you make at your job, that you were able to get that sort of passive income in and you didn't have to go to work, you didn't have to chase a paycheck. Wouldn't that be wonderful? Well, that's what financial freedom is all about, and that's one thing I'm really passionate about, because financial freedom actually allows you to live the life that you really want to live. Maybe you feel like you love to write a book, you love to travel, you love to spend more time with friends, you love to build your own business and not have to work for someone else. Well, financial freedom actually allows you to be able to do that. So let's walk through an example here. Let's say your expenses right now, I want you to think about what your monthly expenses are for you to live comfortably. And we'll just say it's $5,000 a month, which I know is low, but again, to get to passive income, it's a good example. We could do a higher figure, we're just gonna do that. So let's say you need $5,000 a month. If you're gonna do this with single family houses, it's very difficult when you look at single family houses to find a house that's cash flow positive. You may say, well, no, I can pay this much for the house, I put money down, I've got the mortgage payment, and I'm basically able to get this cash flow coming out of the house. Well, the challenge is you need to account for about 50% of the total rents for what the expenses are. Typically, some of those expenses are going to be property management. If you don't want a full-time job and you're not gonna manage it yourself, and you're actually gonna scale this up, because again, what you want is $5,000 a month. So you're either gonna have a full-time job managing those properties, or you're gonna farm that out to someone else. So let's just say you have these houses and you're renting them out. You have a good buffer there for expenses, for landscaping, for vacancies, for repairs, and for the payment on the property as well. Let's say you're getting $100 a month from each house. Well, how many houses would it take you to become financially free? Well, if you do the math, it would take 50 houses. You'd literally have to have a portfolio of 50 houses to be able to generate $5,000 a month. Some people say, oh, I'm gonna generate more, I'm gonna generate this, and say, well, that's true. Okay, maybe you do generate more, maybe it's a little more, but still, let's say even if it's 25 houses, that's a lot of houses. And that, even if you're not actively the one who's doing the day-to-day management, that's gonna be a ton of work, and that's gonna be a full-time job and provide a lot of headaches to you. This is what happened to me. My goal was to have 30 single-family houses. I had 3 or 4. A cousin came to me and said, hey, this plan sounds interesting, but it's a lot of work. And I said, why don't you do multifamily? And he kind of gave me some ideas of how I could get involved in multifamily investing. So as I started to look into it, I realized that what I was really counting on for single family is that I was counting on the fact that I thought there was going to be a lot of appreciation. Well, these days, at least at the time of this video, prices for single homes are very, very high. They've gone past, highs we had in 2005, 2006. We're way up because the interest rate is so low, because there's no evictions and foreclosures happening. And it's just, right now, it's a very difficult thing to say, I'm going to become financially free by doing single family. So there are some serious highs and lows when it comes to single family real estate, which is very different than multifamily. And one statistic I like to share is the stability of multifamily when you compare it, is that single family at the worst point in the Great Recession. So just imagine you invest now in a bunch of single families, and if we do have some sort of recession and we do have some sort of crash in the asset class, there's a potential the value of these homes goes way down. And what happened in 2008 and 9, that's exactly what it was. The single family default rate at the time was about 4%. And you can see on this chart that basically, 1 in 25 homes were in default of foreclosure in 2009. Well, at the same time, large multifamily, meaning 60 units or more, it was 0.4%. So it was 10 times lower. It was 1 out of every 250 large multifamily apartments. So you can see the stability of the asset class. So I would say there's a lot of risk in looking at single family, and it's very market cycle dependent, and it's going to be a ton of work in the best case scenario. So I want to talk to you a little more about what I feel really is the perfect investment. And what it is it's multifamily investing, particularly as a passive investor. People invest into our deals, $50,000, and basically, of the 1,000 investors that I've spoken with and the 800 units that we have, we realize that people really value their time. The idea of not having to deal with tenants, trash, toilets, any of that stuff is amazing. So it actually truly can be passive. It allows you to get phenomenal returns. We typically see solid double-digit returns, mid to high double-digit returns on these deals. And we also see that people get some incredible tax benefits that you don't get on single family, which is really amazing. So there's some awesome benefits that come with this. It's also an inflation hedge. And like I mentioned before, it's not only passive, it actually allows you to scale. So it allows you to take these investments and actually do more and more and more deals without necessarily taking up more and more and more of your time. And then you get to a place where you actually are receiving what we call mailbox money, right? The checks that show up every month, or the direct deposits that happen every month or every quarter. It's a wonderful feeling to know that, man, that stuff's just coming in. Whether you're going, you're not going to work for it, the money is actually working for you. So that's what I love about multifamily investing. So if you're doing single family, that's totally fine, that's great. But I think really at some point, looking at saying, how do I want to scale? What do I want this to look like? What do I want to do with my time? Because you're really still, if you're doing it and you're actually trading time for money, I don't think that's really a place of financial freedom. Really, the true financial freedom comes from when those checks come in, when you don't put the time in. The money works for you rather than you having to work for it. So I think that's something to really consider. If you're interested in getting involved, you want to learn more about investing in multifamily investments, you can go to bronsonequity.com. There's this awesome report that I wrote talking about the single best investing strategy during and after a pandemic. I think you're going to love it. It's got some of these strategies that I talked about in here about investing in multifamily. And then secondly, if you're interested in doing deals with us, we're actually in the process of looking at deals. We're constantly doing deals. And so if you want to join our investment club and hear about those deals, you can go to bronsonequity.com. You can click the join button, and basically you can start a relationship with us, and we can look at doing deals together. So I wanted to share this quote with you that I found to be really valuable from Lily Tomlin. And it says, "The trouble with the rat race is that even if you win, you're still a rat." Isn't that true? Even if you win, you're still a rat. Anyway, thanks for taking the time to educate yourself. That's the best investment you can do. I'd love to hear from you. Write some comments below. Send me a message. We'll look forward to seeing you on the next video.